Awesome. Well, first off, thank you guys so much for joining us. I know that takes time out of your day, but we always enjoy talking to you. We'll do a quick round of intros. I know everyone's done this, but just quickly, my name is Jing. I work on the brand side on Star Wars for Hasbro.
And I'm Chris from the design side. So
yeah, we've
Good to
all
see you guys.
chatted in the past. But yes, wanted to get that out of the way. I know you guys have so many questions. I'm sure everyone's watched Ahsoka 5 times. Everyone's back the ghost. And there's also another Ahsoka live stream next week. So I hope all of you would join us and ask your fan base to join us as well. But without further ado, Lacey, why don't you kick us off?
Sure, that would be great. You guys can hear me, right?
Yes.
Perfect. So I'm going to start with more of a general question. First of all, congratulations on this HasLab. It's been a total success. Fans are loving it. But I was curious how it was decided to do the Ghost next, because obviously Star Wars fans, and I'm sure you guys get it all the time, get a ton of requests for all different types of stuff. So was it an easy choice with the release of Ahsoka, or were there other items in consideration?
Yeah, I would say, like, obviously with the Ahsoka live action timing, it was just a big push for that. So it was a big consideration point, but it is a beloved ship from 4 seasons of Rebels that fans have obviously adored and told us in your fan sites, for years that they want. So we definitely listened to the fan community as well. So it just felt like an obvious choice where the stars aligned and it made sense to do this. There were always consideration points of what else to do that. I think you guys in the fan community as well have several in the running. It's funny when we're at SDCC about to reveal it, people were photoshopping what goes into that large display case that we had empty before we revealed the ghost. So there's a lot of passion for a lot of things out there. I'm glad that you feel, along with the fan base, that this was the right choice for us, especially with Ahsoka. That just, we saw the first 2 episodes. So loved seeing the support, and we hope to see that going. And yeah, for the future, we'll have the same balance of consideration points as well.
Yeah,
I think people
the Ghost
are
has been and the Ghost has been one of those ones that's been on our radar. Like Jing said, 4 years of content with Rebels. I mean, the Ghost was on the table when we were talking about the Razor Crest. Like it's been a ship, it's been part of Star Wars for a long time. So, and now with new entertainment, bringing it back again in more detail and all that reference available now, really made it the right time to do the Ghost. So.
Yeah, I think it's a great choice. So thank you for making that choice.
Yay. Okay, action figure insider Daniel.
Hey guys, good to see you again. I had a Star Wars Black question, actually. Star Wars Black series has been running for 10 years now. And in that time, we still don't have a complete run of like the original Kenner 20. We're missing Cantina aliens, Gonk droids, Death Star droids, and that sort of thing. As I know you have focused on sort of completing the Kenner run in the vintage collection, but is that a consideration you guys also look at for the Black series?
Yeah, I mean, those classic Kenner figures and kind of the core line, that's where it started for so many of us. And it's a constant source of inspiration for us. I mean, Black Series has a long and amazing history, and we're constantly looking at those sort of things. So it's certainly something we'll explore in the future. And we've got a pretty major milestone coming up in a couple of years. I mean, we're not planning for that yet, but we're starting to think about it. So I think all those sort of things will be on the table as options for Black Series as we go forward. I mean, Black Series isn't going anywhere, and there's a long runway ahead of us and places to deal with those sort of things. So,
thank you.
Thank you. Yoda News, Mark.
Yeah, hi everybody. Thanks for having us. Congrats again on the Ghost getting to where it's at. And I'll preface this question with saying I do think it's going to meet the final goal, but if it fails to meet all the tiers, are there any chances we're going to get those figures that may have been missed on the carded with the backdrop of Rebels?
Yeah, so those figures, those tiers are tied to that campaign as we announce them with the campaign. We hope just as much as you do that we get them unlocked. We'd love to see them in our collection. And in case you missed it, we really hope that they get unlocked because there's also 2 more missing from that crew. I think fan community has been asking about Sabine and Chopper specifically, we've announced earlier today. So want to make sure that we talk about it here as well. If you unlock the next two tiers, so you have Kanan at 14, Zeb at 17,000, we'll also be offering as a separate purchase, like fans to be able to complete the crew on those exclusive mural card backs, Sabine and Chopper, from their season 4 Rebels appearance look. We just didn't want to lock those figures behind higher tiers. And we felt like that was unfair to the campaigns, but we also know how important it is. So we wanted to announce it, connect the dots here, want the opportunity for like a full crew out there for us, if we unlock Zeb specifically. And hopefully we definitely get there at a good trajectory, especially with Ahsoka Entertainment out there right now. And something we hope the fans rally behind this as well.
Great, thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you for asking that. Star Wars collector, Dan.
In regards to the HasLab Ghost, some fans were a bit disappointed that the detachable Phantom 2 shuttle only included an attached chopper droid dome and not the fully removable figure. Why did you guys decide to do that and not include a removable figure instead?
Well, for that Phantom 2 specifically, the scale of Chopper on that is kind of critical to the look of it, and to put a Chopper that would be true scale in the vintage collection line, he would have been much bigger on that ship. So to scale him down for the detail on that ship, and then at the time we knew we were thinking about what Jing was just talking about, the package of Chopper and Sabine outside of the HasLab. So I mean, making sure that he could be available otherwise outside as a full figure, but instead of doing like a weirdly small version of him that would fit in there and be removable, it just made more sense to make him just the head on that ship.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Scale for us was definitely a big piece of that. Cool. Why don't we go back up, Lacey?
Perfect. So we've been so lucky as Star Wars fans to see animated properties and stories be kind of making that transition to live action. So with this ship in particular and these characters, you see that transition from animated to live action, which we're all super pumped about. When you were making your models and plans for this ship, for the Ghost, did you guys reference animated and live action like we saw in Rogue One and Ahsoka, or did you pick one or the other? Were there any differences between the two?
Well, yeah, we referenced all of it really. The core reference varies a little bit depending on which thing we're doing and what we're trying to address. For the outer ship itself and the stuff that we know we're going to see in live action that we got reference from Lucasfilm on, that's all based off of the live action. That felt like the most
Awesome.
the honest versions of those things. But then we're also looking at the animated stuff, at those 4 years of history with the Ghosts from Rebels, things that are specific to the show and meaningful from the show that we wanted to get into the live action version. So there are parts of the ship that we won't see in Ahsoka, but there are parts that we will, and trying to bridge the gaps and make even the stuff we won't see in the show. We worked really closely with ILM and the team at Lucasfilm to make sure that the way we detailed those areas out felt authentic to how they would appear in the show if they were going to. So it really is a mix of all that reference coming together. Like I said, the exterior and areas that we will see in the show are trying to be very true to that reference from the live action versions.
That's awesome.
On characters specifically, those with Zeb, with Ezra, with Hera, those are easy ones where, okay, here's a live action version of what Zeb looks like now. We saw that in Mandalorian. Did. But then we want to take him and put him in that season 4 Rebels outfit. So it's what we have done in the past on animated interpretations. We took that animated reference of the outfit, made it look real, and then put it on the real reference for the character. So it's doing that across all of those things.
That's really great. So there's a balance between the animated and live action, which I'm sure both types of fans will be really pumped to hear.
Yeah, we're not doing animated versions of the characters, but we're bringing those animated versions into the reality in the universe that we have as TVC.
but also representing and respecting where they came from. I love that.
Exactly.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of close partnership with Lucasfilm when we make those decisions.
Yeah.
Cool. Action figure insider, Daniel.
All right, Chris knows that I'm always going to ask about retro stuff because I love it. So with the retro 5-point of articulation, we've seen full waves of new characters for Mandalorian, Book of Boba Fett, Obi-Wan, soon to be Phantom Menace. With the original trilogy so far, we've mostly seen re-releases of the original Kenner stuff. Is there thoughts at some point we will get full waves of all new figures that we never got before in the Kenner collection?
Oh, well, you're inside my brain. Those things are always in discussion. I mean, how do we draw the balance between new stuff, classic stuff, and looking for opportunities to bring figures in, even on an individual basis? I mean, we did that with Mon Mothma that we talked about at the convention. Yeah. So it's like we're always looking for ways to do those things, and none of it's off the table. And the classic trilogy is a super meaningful part of Star Wars, and in the retro line specifically, I think there's a massive demand for that. So it's something we continue to talk about and find home for. So, yeah, keep polls going online for those.
All right.
I want to see what fans. I'm tapping into you guys for research here. I want to know what classic trilogy stuff retro fans want to see.
Well, it feels like there's still some low-hanging fruit, like Sand Troopers, Cantina band members,
Yeah, there's some deep cuts that would be fun. Yes.
Yeah.
Fully agreed. Yeah.
I'm sure we can talk retro all day with Chris.
I know.
But
you can. We can set up whole separate interviews to do that.
Yoda's news, Mark.
Okay, my question is, with the re-release of the helmets, it's been very, very popular, with most of them pre-selling out sometimes within hours at Entertainment Earth and places like that. What are the chances that that's going to continue as long as there's a market for it? Because there's still several out there that are 5 times what they retail was on the secondary market, that some people just weren't collecting at the time, weren't into the helmets, and now they have a couple gaps. So if there's continues to be a good market for them, will you guys continue to re-release them, at least in a limited basis like you have been?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. We definitely take cues from the community in terms of what they want. It is it's something we put into consideration, demands from the community, what they want. Like to your point, sometimes they missed out whenever they came out. Also, what else we have going out online, capacity at the factories, things like that. They all come into play when we make these decisions, and as well, obviously, with the retailers, because they're the ones also selling it as well. But we're always glad to see, to your point, when we have those limited runs re-releases, if they do well, it tells us something, it gives us information, and it's definitely something we keep in mind and consider whenever we make these future decisions.
Great, thank you.
Cool. All righty, Star Wars collector Dan.
Okay, with the re-release of the Black Series Jabba the Hutt set for the 40th anniversary of Return of the Jedi, why didn't you guys go all out and give what the fans have been asking for, like Jabba's Deus and then Princess Leia Hutt Slayer figure? Seems like a missed opportunity, and we pretty much just got another repack in a different packaging.
Well, I mean, that figure, a lot of what we wanted to do with that figure is get that back out for people who had missed him previously. So Jabba has been out before, but it continues to draw higher dollars on the aftermarket. So there seemed to be a lot of demand for him. So it was a great opportunity to do that. The dais that he sits on, though, is such a huge piece at Black Series scale that would have just driven price really high, and I think put that, in our estimation, out of the reach of a lot of people that really just wanted that figure. But I mean, we love that there are just such amazing fans from the Star Wars franchise, excited about all the opportunity and the characters to explore. I mean, it's a big product line, and that's where that one ended up. So,
are you guys forbidden from making the Hutt Slayer Leia? with all the rumors, say people say you're not allowed to make it, Disney forbids it, and all this other stuff.
And there's a lot of rumors out there, but again, I mean, it's just, I mean, amazing fans like wanting all that stuff. I mean, we love all that, and we love to hear more. But yeah, I mean, rumors. There's a lot of rumors around, and I mean, I'm not going to comment on rumors. So
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, the Resistance broadcast, Lacey.
Not to be boring, but I'm talking about the ghost again.
No, please do. This is
Okay.
we want to talk about the ghost.
I feel bad. Everybody has other questions, and I'm just
No, tell us
chiming in.
about the ghost.
All right, great. So, what details do you think Rebels fans will be the most impressed with this ship? Because we talked about, obviously it's a mixture of both live action and animated. Animated fans are diehards just like anybody else. So, are there any like little moments, or not moments, but details that they can look forward to within this ship?
Yeah, I'm sure Chris has like a million in his head. Like for me, it's definitely just like the size of the ship and the fact that the team just was so careful and detail oriented in every little piece of the ship.
Mhm.
They really did pour their heart and soul into it. And there was some pictures that were released last week of the physical model of the ship. And what I really loved about that is just that it feels lived in, right? You see those characters, those tiers just hanging out. And there's something about that that just feels really homey and just feels amazing for it's a crew. It's a crew. It's, you know, the Rebels, the Ghost ship. It's just there's so much of history there that we wanted to make sure it's represented in toy form. So that's what we really loved about it. I'm sure Chris has like a million others.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's little stuff all over the place in there that will be meaningful to Rebels fans specifically. I mean, the decoration on the walls and floor in Hera's quarters, the curtains, things like that were really established in Rebels and make that room feel like hers. There's like the chair in the lounge area, the wooden chair with the leather seat and stuff, like things like that you've seen and have been a part of Rebels. I mean, but overall, just the whole ship, like the ship is a character in Rebels, and
Mhm.
this is a chance to, I mean, it's the first member of the crew of the Ghost is the Ghost. So
Sure.
I think having that, having play spaces, I mean, one that I enjoy, like just when we were doing photo shoots and stuff, is the little ladder that goes down to the little tiny cargo hold. I mean, we can't do the cargo hold like you want to in a ship like that, but you can stick a figure down that ladder and have them climbing up from the cargo hold or poking their head down and looking in from the front. So I think there's a lot of that sort of stuff to recreate those moments and emotions that are tied to the Ghost in different scenes. I mean, one of the shots that I set up for that photo shoot Jing just mentioned was Kanan and Ezra standing on the top of the Ghost practicing with the lightsabers. I mean, even things like that, just being able to explore the ship with those figures, I think will be very fun for people.
So fans are going to need a lot of time to explore it once they open it.
There's a lot of detail and a lot of stuff going on in there. So
I see
Very cool.
unboxings from fans.
Very cool. Thanks.
Yeah.
All right. Action figure insider, Daniel.
Hello again. So, you know, I've been sort of spoiled, I feel like, because, you know, I've been collecting since, you know, when the figures came out in '78. But it felt like, you know, kind of in the 2000s, you know, especially right before the new the prequel trilogy came out, you know, we had an embarrassment of riches with the kind of stuff we were getting. And one thing I feel like we haven't seen a lot of lately is large creatures. And with the TV entertainment, it feels like there's been more and more of those sort of things introduced: mythosaurs, mudhorns, blurgs, that sort of thing. And that, you know, in both your primary scales, both the vintage collection and the Black series. So is there, you know, thoughts of more of that sort of thing finding its way back onto the shelf?
Yeah, I mean, I love that question because yes, you're right. Like we are seeing more of it. Like even in spoiler alert in Ahsoka, we saw like Purgle, like you know, it could probably is a Purgle, like things like that. So it's something the team would love as well. It comes up in conversation. We are always exploring different things and what makes sense for the community. Obviously, you know, as you know, there's nothing we can share about the future. But the more we hear from you guys, the more there is demand, the more that it makes sense. It's something that we will always consider in our minds when we make these decisions.
Yeah. And like Jing said, like every time a trailer drops for something, we're pouring over it. Like she said, like the Purgils in this, like shadowed in the background
I
of
was like,
hyperspace,
that's
assuming that's what they
beautiful.
are.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, we all came in the office next day. Oh my gosh, like oh my, yeah. So yeah, creatures are a part of Star Wars and special to all of us. So we'll see what we can do. But again, run polls on online. Let us know what creatures are important to you guys.
Sounds good.
All right, Yoda's news, Mark.
Hi, my question's about the New Hope collectible 6-pack in the retro collection. Like me, I have it. Most of us want everything. But for those that are just looking to pick up a few of them here and there, will they ever be out individually or just strictly with the 6-pack that's available at Pulse?
Well, I'll use the original New Hope 6-pack as an example. I mean, those first came out as individually carded figures, and then we re-released them as a 6-pack. So I mean, there's no plans for any of that right now, but nothing's off the table for the future. I mean, it's certainly possible we could do that or use them in other ways, but there's no plans for that currently.
Okay.
Cool. All right, Star Wars collector Dan.
So hopefully the HasLab Ghost will get enough backers to unlock the 3 bonus tiers. If the bonus tiers are unlocked or not, will those 3 bonus figures, along with Hera, get another release on different packaging? Or if the levels aren't unlocked, are you guys just going to scrap those figures altogether?
Yeah, I would say in general, we can't speak to anything that hasn't been announced. So what we have announced are those figures for those exclusive card backs that we saw tied to the Ghost campaign. Hopefully we'll unlock those. I love the support from the community and we'd love to add them to our collection. So that's something that we are certainly hoping on our end as well, because we're all fans. We would love those in our collection as well.
Yeah, and specifically it's those outfits of those characters that's exclusive to the HasLab. Like that version of them is exclusive there. So we wouldn't do that version of those characters elsewhere. I mean,
the season 4 appearance from Rebels.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean those characters are exclusive to the HasLab. So yeah, I mean, there's always possibilities.
The Sabine and Chopper, you said that if we hit 17,000 backers, you said those are going to be free or an additional charge to get those 2 figures?
Separate charge. That's available, but outside.
It'd be like
of the
a
HasLab.
bonus kind of thing.
It won't be tied to the HasLab. It'll just be a normal release sort of thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
yeah. I think for us it was just important because we know that the fans want to complete the mural card back collection. So that's a way for us to do that without locking it behind a HasLab.
But that's hinging on. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like Jing said, like we didn't want it to be a thing that was like setting more and more far out goals and high expectations for the HasLab. I mean, and then to say, oh, you're never going to get those because we put them behind a 25 or 30,000 backer level kind of thing. Like we didn't want to do that. So we kind of drew the line at 17 and said, okay, that's where we're going to stop our exclusivity things. And then anything beyond that, we'll release separately and outside of the HasLab.
But if we don't hit 17K, you guys won't release those bonuses at all, right?
Yeah, so that's what we're saying, that we definitely want. It doesn't make sense to still have a gap.
Yeah, just have 2 and miss the other 2.
We think it's something we can definitely rally behind. I think there's a strong showing the community. I think the Ghost is so exciting from the 4 seasons of Rebels, and of course now that we're getting the Ahsoka live action as well. So that's something that we will keep refreshing our pages right along with you.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
All right, Lacey, the Resistance broadcast.
So you guys are always thankfully listening to fans and evolving and learning. And you've said before that no matter what happens with previous HasLabs, you've always learned something, whether it's a success or maybe a setback. That being said, with the Razor Crest, RIP, it was such a crazy success and fans loved it. I was wondering if you guys learned anything from that HasLab with the build or the design that you've been implementing now that you're years later into this build, any technologies or any changes this time around.
And technology-wise, I'd say no. I mean, maybe a little bit in some of the inkjet printing deco sort of process that we've evolved since then even. So we'll probably take advantage of some of that just to help up some of the deco. But I mean, a lot of it is, I mean, this is just classic toy making for like a big vehicle and drawing on all that rich history, all the way back to the stuff that Kenner did. I mean, Marc Boudreau, I mean, like just foundational like toy design big vehicle stuff. I mean, we're still doing that, and this is a great example of that. So just vintage ship making and vintage in the vintage collection world. And some things that we've learned more functionally like are more about like how to package it and make sure that we're delivering things. I mean, knowing how important packaging is to the vintage collection fans.
Right.
And to make sure we do everything we can to ensure like safe arrival of the precious cargo to everybody. Things like that are big learnings. Some stuff I would say, even the fact that we revealed all those tiered figures up front, had a physical model out of the gate just so everybody knew what was coming, and there wasn't like waiting and baiting people kind of for
Right.
those. We wanted to be upfront and really, and it was also beneficial because with these, they are a crew, and the story we were telling about the mural backgrounds too, or the card backs, like that just felt meaningful to show that as a whole. So but that's also something that's specific to this vehicle and these offerings. So I mean, we'll like we said, we take learnings from each one, from other brands at Hasbro doing other HasLabs. It's all an evolving process, and there's not a formula for what HasLab is. It's there's an ethos for HasLab delivering dream projects, and how those dreams manifest are different each time and continue to change. So
yeah, and I think that's what makes it exciting for fans, is because they're never the same. Everything's different. Yeah. Okay, cool. Awesome.
Cool. Thank you for that. Daniel, Action Figure Insider.
Chris kind of touched on part of what I'm asking in his last answer, but now as you look at these larger projects that are not ideal for planograms, larger play sets, larger ships, you guys have kind of showed us two different ways now. You've got the HasLab, but also with the Jabba's throne room from Book of Boba Fett, you went the Pulse route. Can you kind of talk about the difference in thinking of how something can go one way versus the other? What you choose to sort of feature as a HasLab as opposed to looking at that other route? And it seems as if they're both successful enough that they can both continue forward.
We hope so. Yeah. They do things differently, and the financial models and the fan base and stuff all drives different decision making on those things. But there's no set rules for which sort of thing goes where, and there's nothing saying HasLab has to be a big giant vehicle. I mean, we've tried other stuff. Some things haven't worked. I mean, we all have seen that happen, but it's just different approaches to things, and they're all viable options for going forward, and both clearly successful. I mean, the throne room playset, that was great. I think the response to that was really nice. The way it was available to people in a different way, a different price point, that's nice. But that doesn't mean that HasLab couldn't do something like that if it was the right thing for HasLab and the right audience, right timing. So
yeah, it's ever evolving process. We're always trying new things, and other brands are as well. So we're constantly learning from each other. So it's something that we'll like keep adapting and testing and figuring out what the right the right formula is that the fans would want to see it. And of course, like, the fan community is always so passionate. So like there's a lot of feedback too, and we always want to make sure we incorporate that into any of the decisions as we go forward.
It's not. It's for me. It's nice having that. Now that you've sort of opened the gate of that sort of thing on Pulse, just the HasLab thing sort of feels like an annual event. So in order to get like a second really nice, awesome thing, it's nice to kind of have that venue too. So thank you guys.
Yeah.
Oh, well, great. All right, Yoda's news, Mark.
All right, my next question is a bit of a crossover question with the Transformers crossovers. They're very popular with a lot of our readers. In previous Q&As, it was a lot of the questions that were asked are we going to get some new characters in Transformers crossover, or has that ship sailed and nothing into the pipeline anymore?
It is a fun idea. And I mean, we're super glad there's excitement around that sort of thing. I mean, there are no plans to announce though. But yeah, I think you guys chattering and continuing excitement about that, I would say keep doing that. Like the more energy that builds around these things, the more attention is drawn to them and the more excitement we have. So.
Very cool. Thank you.
Yeah.
Star Wars collector Dan.
Now that the Black Series 6-inch windowless plastic-free packaging is a thing of the past, are you guys going to revisit those figures and re-release them in the clear window packaging, or select figures, or all of them, or none of them, or?
Well, there's no plan to like systematically go back and just replace all those things and put them in the current mainline look. But they're part of our Black Series library. So if we re-release those things in the future and they line up with this packaging, then that's how they'll come out. Okay. But there's no plans to just go back and re-release all of them suddenly.
Yeah, some people stopped collecting just for that reason alone. So they asked me to ask if you ever were going to do that. So.
Yeah, and you guys know the packaging we're in now, and we're moving forward with that. So yeah, I mean, I hope they're not staying away.
Some people said they did. They stopped buying, but I don't know how true it is. People say stuff just to get what they want. So.
Right. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. No, that's great. Thank you, Dan. Lacey.
All right. So your team got to collaborate with the legendary Doug Chang. Everybody loves him. So I was wondering if there are any fun moments or insights of working with him, because I know myself, I don't know if I could ever get over like video chatting with him on a regular basis, just chatting Star Wars.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's part of the honor and privilege it is to work on Star Wars stuff like this. And for those of us that have been doing this a while, there are moments like that and like this project that remind you how cool the job can be. Working with folks from ILM on any level, when you don't work at ILM and you work with people from ILM, like you see the same passion you have reflected in them, and they're doing the stuff that's driving that passion. So it is very fun that way. I was joking with Jing like that. Like this project's not the first time I've met and talked to Doug.
Sure.
But it doesn't make it less meaningful to work with that team. Sure. And it really is. It's fun. Like we sit down and we're all doing the same thing. We're all driving towards really cool stuff and designing things and having fun with it. And their team's the same way. Like they're doing it. They're just doing a different sort of product. So when we got together, like sitting there having a conversation and spinning the 3D model of the ship around and talking about things, and they're pointing out things. Oh, hey, maybe we should move this up a little bit and make that like that would be a little bit better. Like things where we had to compromise stuff for toy and construction, and they're pointing out things that they thought we could still maybe adjust. And we couldn't maybe adjust it as far as you could if it was in CG. But we could have adjusted a little bit and working those things. So yeah, just very fun that way. So, and like I said, everybody over there at Lucasfilm, at Disney, from the most entry level person to, I'm sure probably to Kathleen Kennedy, are deep fans and enjoy nerding out about this stuff on one level or another. So.
That's awesome.
All right, so we have a few minutes. I want to make sure we get through this final round and everyone gets a chance. So Daniel, Action Figure Insider.
All right, this is a quick one. So we as fans, we all have our wish list of what we would love to see in the line. Can you guys tell us one or two things that you always, whenever there's a brainstorming meeting, that you raise your hand that you would still love to see show up in the line somewhere?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I don't know. It's come up a few times, and I always throw her out there, like Mother Towson, and the fact, like the whole Dathomir world is just fascinating for me. It really captivated me since Clone Wars, and obviously, spoiler alert, we saw, the first two episodes of Ahsoka. So, for us, there's a lot of these characters that like trigger us, and we definitely love to see them, and it gets brought up, and then it's a group decision on what makes sense for the line.
For me, there is stuff that continues to come back up for me, but some of it has recently become things we're talking about more. So I'm not going to tell you what those are. I'll just leave it there.
Oh,
Next.
Yoda's news, Mark.
Yeah, this is a real quick one. Are you guys going to continue your collaboration with Disney parks and exclusive figures that you can only get at the parks and Disney.com going forward into 2024, if you can say?
Yeah, so just in general, we can't speak to anything that we haven't been announced or spoken publicly about, but I'm glad that a lot of those were taken so well by the community, and it's definitely good to see for us.
Okay, fair enough.
All right, Dan, Star Wars collector.
On the Black Series Andor Val figure, she was assigned number 8, and so was Cassian Andor. He was also assigned number 8 in the Colorways Andor line. Which figure is supposed to be number 8 and number 9? And did you guys correct the packaging to reflect that, or is you just gonna leave it the way it is?
So thank you for bringing that up. So Cassian is number 8. Valsartha is number 9. We're all human. It's just a miss on our part. It is something that if we ever rerun that, we will correct it in the future. So, that's just what happened with that figure itself.
Oh, no worries.
Yeah, but fans, they'll know.
Yep.
You guys are letting us know. So
yeah, we try and be perfect, but we are humans.
Yeah.
We won't be. So yeah.
Alrighty, guys. Well, I'm really thankful as always for you guys to take the time to chat with us. There's a Ahsoka live stream next week, so please join us for that. As well as, of course, telling the community about the ghost and how amazing it is. We think so, and we're just, very, very thankful for the support from the community thus far. And we definitely want to keep that going and unlock the other tiers as well. So thank you again for your time, and I'm sure we'll chat soon.
Thank you guys so much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes.
Bye.
Bye.